March the... No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Crikey, she says. Crikey, it's not. How on earth did I get that? It is day 43, but it's Friday, is it not, my friends? It is Friday. I've completely lost track of time. Let's do that, shall we? Oh, there we go. It is Friday, the 8th of May. Oh dear, you can see that I've completely lost track of time. This is what happens when you work from home and everything seems the same. I mean, I think I said earlier in the quarantine diaries, I feel like Maggie Smith in Downton Abbey. What is a weekend? That is what it feels like. Good news yesterday, wasn't it? Good news yesterday. We've got a glimpse of what level 2 will look like in our lives, and it is definitely heading in the right direction for everybody. So one of the things about level 2 is that level 2 will mean that our skein shop can actually now reopen when the date comes around. So we are just waiting for that date. We will actually require a little bit of preparation. The shop at the moment is looking fairly decimated, so we need to make sure that we have time to actually tidy it up a little bit, restock things. The beautiful thing about our store, if you haven't been to our store before, is it's actually in an old bicycle showroom. So it's absolutely huge, like ridiculously huge. So maintaining social distancing in the store is not going to be a problem whatsoever. I mean, even if we had 10 or 15 customers in there, everyone will easily be able to maintain a 2 metre distance from each other. And we have a 360-degree counter. So it makes life nice and easy. So the team are working on the procedures that we need in order to be able to open back at level 2 for everybody. So that will be great news if you're a local living in Hawke's Bay. When that will be, well, fingers crossed it'll be the middle of next week. I am actually suspicious it will probably be the Monday of the following if they're true to form. They'll push things out a little bit further. But hey, we'll just have to wait and see. Either or, we will start preparations early next week to get nice and reopened. And we will let you know. So that will be, something to look forward to. In the meantime, if you are a local and you have actually placed an order and done pick up in store and you don't want to wait until we do reopen to do that, you are actually able to purchase a courier ticket and we will actually send that out to you. All you need to do is pop courier in the search bar on the homepage and that ticket will come up. It's only $3.95. Purchase the ticket and we will send that out to you wherever you are in Hawke's Bay. And it generally gets to you within overnight, within 1 working day. So if you would like to do that, that is another option as well if you need to get that yarn out. All of those pick up and store orders are selected there. Unfortunately, because our warehouse is situated at the back, we don't actually have health and safety permission to allow pick up in stores to be collected from the warehouse. So hence the reason for that. What else do I have to tell you? Yesterday, wasn't catching up with Nathan yesterday. Fabulous. Really enjoyed it. As many of you know, Nathan has been a friend of mine for a number of years, and it was so I catch up with him relatively regularly anyway, but it was so nice to be able to have him here on the Quarantine Diaries and actually talk about what he's doing, talk about his new book and his new project, and to actually see some of the incredible mind-blowing work that he does. The guy is an utter genius. He just does, I mean, his ability to concentrate and drill down onto certain techniques to create some truly spectacular items, I think is really amazing. And having sat with him before and been with in his classes, he has the ability to be able to teach that. And I know that often you look at all of that stuff and you go, whoa, this is just so tough. But it actually isn't really. When you actually take the time to sit down and have a look and give it a go, it's actually amazing what you can achieve by, having a crack on your own. So let's see who's here this morning. Morning, everybody. Sandra's just saying she really likes my red jumper. Thank you. This is Climb Every Mountain by, I think it's Heidi Kiddemeyer. I knitted that a number of years ago during the Rugby World Cup. Yes, and this red is, if you're wondering, this is vintage carmine. So it is one that is in the range that we've had for a number of years. Angela's just asking, is Southlander DK suitable for a shawl, not too heavy? I think it's totally suitable for a shawl. In fact, heavier DK weight shawls for me are a personal, I really love them. So it depends on how you like to wear them, and it's a pity I've got mine over there, but I love the Aran shawl, which is one I've shown here many times on the diaries before, and I've knitted that both in fine 3-ply weight and silver lining Lumiere, and I've actually also knitted it in DK. And the Lumiere in the lighter weights, Lumiere in 4-ply fingering, and a lot of shawls are like this, are great for just wearing around the neck, and they're really loose and easy to wear. But then actually jumping to a DK and oversizing it actually means you can wear it like a proper wraparound shawl, and I've done that with Aran too. As we all know, I'm a huge Martina Beam fangirl, so I have done a number of her projects. I had Hitchhiker on yesterday, but Niada, which is one of hers, which I think actually she's originally written in DK, I've done in everything from 3-ply through to 14-ply, and actually just sized the needles accordingly, and then just basically made it as large as I would like. So that is the really lovely thing when it comes to a shawl. You can upsize and downsize just using appropriate needles to yarn to actually create whatever size shawl that you want. Some of us want to wear them close around our neck and have it more like a scarf. Others actually want something that we can wrap around us like a wrap and really snuggle into. And for the latter, I actually think DK is the way to go for that. And Southlander would be incredible. And also too, if you were, you should actually have a look at some of the shawls that are sort of inspired by the TV program Outlander. Southlander represents, you'll be able to sort of replicate a number of those style of knits, those really rustic, earthy knits, by using Southlander quite easily. So definitely check those out. Everyone's up and at 'em this morning. It is so good. Right. I this morning thought we have had like a power of inquiries and emails through to Claire and I over the last couple of weeks, now that everybody is sort of able to get product delivered. And someone actually sent me, a lot of people are just starting knitting again, and I've had a lot of inquiry around baby knits and smaller knits because they're wanting to head back in and start knitting a smaller item to sort of, get back into the knitting saddle, as it were. And I sort of thought, actually, it's probably a good idea to cover some off. I talked earlier on in the diaries about, I've got my bag over there of knits that had been returned to me from my cousin, and it was so nostalgic and wonderful and comforting to actually sit back and look at some of those, because essentially a lot of these knits are, my oldest is now 14, so it's, they're close to 15 years old, some of them. So it was really, really nice to actually go through them and see how well they've lasted, and how far I've come along on the journey, and some of them have mistakes, and there's a whole heap. And then I went through a period once, I've obviously knitting a lot of baby knits. Now that I'm at the age where I'm at now, and where my kids are at, and the people that I mix with, I don't knit a lot of baby items terribly much anymore. And then when I have had a baby in my life, which is my niece, who's now 2, I think I showed you this early in the diaries, I had finished this in the first weekend of lockdown, actually, because I found it. I haven't got buttons for it yet. Look at that. It's cute. And before you say, Marie, where's the pattern for that? Came out of Chardonnay brain, so there is no pattern. But it's using, I'm going to show you some patterns today that's using the principles from those patterns. So to be able to recreate something like this will be relatively straightforward. So this is probably the first baby thing that I finished and completed in years. And I thought it was suggested to me that I talk to you about some baby knits today and where to go if you're looking for baby knits. Because I know for me, I looked at a few, I used a few Revelry designers sort of later on, but I predominantly had books. And have I got that book sitting here still? I had 1,000,001 knitting books and magazines. I was purchased magazines left, right, and centre. No, I haven't got it easily here. And I had, you know, the leaflets. I had the Claire Keaton books and I had some Sublime books, and that's where I knit a lot of the patterns that I knit from. And a lot of those were knit in the flat. And it wasn't until I actually discovered, for me, it was Georgie Nicholson, aka Tiki Knits. She was went by Georgie Hallam then. And she, for me, was one of the ones. Milo was the first pattern that I knitted in the round. In fact, no, tell a lie. It wasn't Milo. It was what was called Oriental Lily. It's now just called Lily, which is a wrap over crossed wee dress, which is knitted flat for the top part, and then it's knitted in the round for the skirt, and then you can do longer sleeves or shorter sleeves. And that, once I discovered Georgie's patterns, and she does some wonderful patterns for babies and children, it was such a revelation, because she knits and writes patterns that I think are really useful for New Zealand life. She lives on the south coast of Victoria, very beachy area. Where she lives in Australia is so like where we live here in Hawke's Bay. Climates were similar, so the designs that she had just completely worked for the environs that I had here. So I did a large number of those. And Milo, the wee vest that she has, and I've shown you what happens when we felt a Milo, and I'll just go and grab one because I've got one sitting here perched on the end of my desk. Oh. So I've shown you that guy here already. Wasn't the only one that found it through the wash. In fact, three of them. And well, just to be fair, that this one was the first one by accident. This one we actually did deliberately, and so did to the other. And we turned all of these. I turned all of these little Milo vests. I popped seams in the bottom of them, turned them into little bags, and my oldest son used to use them to stick his little Lego projects and stuff in. Like if we wanted to go anywhere and he wanted to take a Lego or something with him, and I was terrified of him losing it, I would have him put it in one of these. And because this is a thick felt, nothing was going to fall out, and he could clutch onto it and it would keep it safe. So yes, see, even once they're no longer used for vests, they turned into bags in our house. So there was a whole world at your fingertips. So I went back this morning and went and had a look at what I was knitting 12, 13, 14 years ago, when I was doing a whole heap of baby knitting, and discovered some patterns and some designers. And I suddenly thought, actually, if you're starting to baby knit again and you're just needing to sort of pinpoint and drill down, where do I start, where do I go to, I figured I'm going to feature, I've already talked about Georgie, and I've talked about Georgie so much in previous podcasts and episodes. I'm not going to rehash there. So she's always a good place to start, tikiknits.com. That's one place. But the next one I want to talk about, and she doesn't have a huge number of baby patterns, and she did most of her baby patterns earlier in her designing career, and she's now sort of hived off and become probably one of the biggest and most renowned garment and shawl designers, and that's Hohi Locatelli. And this little guy here is called Felipe, which is the wee singlet here, which is a wee singlet that she designed. She did it in Malabrigo Rios. On the pattern notes, she called it sort of a worsted weight and treated it like a 10-ply. For anybody of you who has used Malabrigo Rios, in technical parlance, particularly from a mill term, it's a DK. It doesn't matter which way you slice it. That puppy is a double knitting yarn. And I actually took this vest. I really fell in love with it. I knitted it as a DK. I did a whole heap of them. Sometimes I would fiddle around and alter needles slightly, but it was just such a wonderful wee simple vest. If I needed to knock out something quickly for a gift, or I wanted to do something really easily, that's what I would do. But it also didn't require a lot of yarn, so I would use a lot of scraps. And there's a really good example. This is one that I knitted, I think, for a cousin that was having a baby. And it uses Noro Silk Garden. Surprise, surprise there. As we know, I have a fascination with Noro. And that's Southlander. That's Southlander Dusky Rose Bracken DK through the centre. And it was gorgeous. And before you go, oh, you use Southlander DK for a baby knit? Yeah, I did. Because the reality of it is a garment like this is actually used as a little chest warmer popped over 9 times out of 10, a onesie. You know, you had an all-in-one sort of onesie on, but sometimes it gets a bit cold and you just needed to pop another layer on to keep their chests warm. This little Felipe vest was perfect for that. And in Southlander, it was just fine. So that is one that was hugely popular. It's a free download. Funny feeling it's worked flat. By that stage, I've got a funny, how did I do it? Oh, I know how I did it. I think I knit the first one flat, and then I actually figured out, because of the circumference, I had a needle that would perfectly go in the round, and then I would go in around up to the armholes, and then I would knit the front portion flat and the back portion flat. But you don't have to. And it was just such a neat little quick go-to singlet. Absolutely loved it. She also went on and did a couple of other patterns. Now, another free one, which is really popular, and we've had a number of people come into the shop with this one, is this one here. It's called, oh look, I'm colour coordinated with that today. How look at that. It's called the Garter Stitch Baby Kimono, and it's done in a 4-ply. Okay, so classic 4-ply, 28 stitches to 4 inches is the tension. So that's vintage 4-ply. But what I loved about this is that she doesn't use traditional colours. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But it's really, really simple. I mean, she used actually an acrylic yarn for this. But it's just any 4-ply will do. What I like about it is and I mean, look, for those who have seen Hohi patterns, this was, I mean, not a lot of tech editing in this back in the day, but it's a lovely, simple, knitted flat, straightforward pattern, only done in 2 sizes, which is 1 to 3 months and 3 to 6. So it's definitely for baby. But if you wanted to knit this actually in DK and up your needle size to a 4mm needle, that would automatically, those 2 sizes would automatically then take you from 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12. And push those forward. So you could do that too. And that was another one that she did, which I thought was a really, really good little cracker. Then she also has this little guy, and I've not seen this one before, but is that not the cutest thing you've ever seen? It's called Lolol's Vest. It's just a really fun little roughy tufty vest. And I loved this as soon as I saw it because I've got 2 little boys. And if you've ever had little boys or a really active, full-on little girl who likes to get out and get in the muck and run around and is just, you know, they learn how to walk, they find their feet, and they're off. You need something that's going to keep up with them. And this wee vest is absolutely gorgeous. It's knitted it's designed in a bulky weight yarn. Southlander bulky for this would be perfect, and as you can see by these little chaps here, it would be fine because it's designed to be worn over the top of something else. So they'd be wearing a t-shirt or a shirt or a merino or whatever else underneath, and you'd pop this vest over the top. And Southlander bulky would be absolutely ideal for that. At a push, you could get away with Lodge 10-ply, but I think that is a rustic little knit, particularly if you've got grandchildren or children and you're on a farm and you need something that's going to cope with the rigors of climbing in and out of trucks and through fences and ramble around in paddocks and arse over when you're trying to chase after the dogs and brush yourself off. Honestly, that Lolo's vest with Southlander bulky, I just think is a match made in heaven. And last from Hohi, if you wanted something, this is actually a more recent one. This one is called Little Boxy. Now, if you have knitted any of her adult patterns, the Boxy sweater is probably her most famous sweater. It is a very large, wide, boxy shaped garment, sort of with a very fitted arm. Actually, not too dissimilar. It's sort of a feminine version of the extra texture sweater that Ethan has just finished from Stephen West. It's that very wide shaped item. And it's one of those items that works really well for any sort of body shape. It can hide a multitude of sins, but with the fitted arms, it looks, it just helps pull it all together. Well, she actually downsized it and did it in this little kids version as well. And I mean, it's a little girl here, but I mean, the reality of it is it could be for a girl or a boy. It's done, she's written it on, I noted on the pattern as a 3-ply, but looking at the needle and the gauge, it definitely speaks standard 4-ply. And this little sweater here in Sockmatician edition 4-ply. I mean, literally. Oh, and have I still got the bag here? Yes, I have. Oh, I have the bag still here. If you were to do that, and if you wanted to get that little sweater looking just like that, the one in the picture, when I find it, and of course it's the one right at the very bottom. Oh, here it comes. Come on, you know you want to. Look at that. Perfect. Absolutely perfect, because the monochrome print on that and the monochrome print on this is almost identical. This is Sockmatician and Baker, so that one is called Little Booksy. So those are actually some really nice options if you're wanting to knit some baby items or children's items, and those are all from Hohi Locatelli. So then when I started, and actually before I jump off and move to the next person that I want to talk about, I talked about Georgie before. So Milo and brain fart, Lily were the two that I started with. The other garment that is hugely popular now is called Granny's Favourite, which is the children's version of the My Favourite cardigan, which I've knitted for myself a number of times. So it's a downsized child's version of that. It is the gorgeous, sweetest little cardigan ever. It is so lovely. It's knit in a DK. It's a cracking wee cardi, and I know so many of you have knit with that. This is the other one I wanted to mention from her. This one is called Olieria, and in fact, the yarn I've knitted this. This is the yarn I knitted this in is exactly the same yarn as this. So it's vintage carmine. And I've done mine in a cropped version with cropped sleeves because I wanted it to go on this wee summer dress. And Olieria is a fantastic wee cardi because it's knitted sort of small sizes all the way up, I think about 8 years to 8 years. It's got this lovely ruching in here, and it's really versatile because you can make it long sleeved, you can make it longer in the trunk, you can actually alter the cardigan however suits you for the garment or whatever it is that you're wanting to do. So in this case, I've done that short little cropped version. This is one that I knit many times for if I had to knit for a girl. Because I don't have girls, I needed a more feminine cardigan in my arsenal, and this was my go-to back in the day. Right, so I'll just quickly check here before I'm going to start talking about the designer that I think you definitely need to check out. And quite often we forget now because she's not designing anymore. But her back catalogue is amazing. Let's just check everybody else. What? Barbara is saying her go-to is Mariana Mel on Ravelry. Great tip. That's good to know. And there are so many. Oh, there we go. And Marianne is saying Tannis Fibre Arts baby cardi is called Baby Sunnyside, and that pattern is free. This is awesome. So I mean, if you guys have got a go-to pattern, particularly if it's a free one for kids or babies, feel free to pop the links up here in this run of comments, because I think that's a really good idea. Denise is saying, asking what the name of the vest is again. There's Lolol's vest, L-O-L-O-S vest, which is the bulky one, or Felipe was the first little baby vest that I talked about. Both of those are from Hohi Locatelli. Now, the one designer actually, and we do, when someone's not designing, it's not that, well, you do, you tend to forget them, because often they'll bring out current work and then that will force you to look at a back catalogue. This person isn't designing anymore because they've actually morphed on into a new career that in a way was born out of the knitwear designing, and I think she's probably one of New Zealand's, if not New Zealand's, greatest baby and children's knitwear designer that we have seen in the last 15 years, and that is Justine Turner, or Just Jussie. Justine became hugely famous in Ravelry early in the day with a hat called Aviatrix, which was a really wonderful little sort of sliced short row hat. It was utterly gorgeous. It went totally viral in Ravelry, and it really got her name out there. Justine knit a lot for her grandchildren. She had a lot of, she's got a lot of children herself, and she loves knitting and making baby garments, and I adore Justine's garments. In the early days of skeins, she used a lot of our yarns, and there is a simplicity to them, but a practicality. These were garments that were designed to be worn, used in real world situations. They look classical, they look wonderful. A lot of Justine's garments are also designed to be worked flat. So for those who struggle working in the round or prefer not to work in the round, Justine has so many patterns that are worked flat or are easily adjustable to be able to be worked flat. So she is somebody that I really think that if you're looking for a baby knit and you haven't, and you need to do something and you don't quite know where to start, I think Justine is a great way to start. And I've just pulled out a couple of examples here, but she's got a number of bundles as well. And I think that that is definitely something that you want to catch up with. One of the bundles that she has is, I think it's called, actually, I'm going to look it up because I've pulled everything up. It is called the Garter Stitch Plain and Simple. There we go. I made sure I pulled it up on there so I could find it. Garter Stitch Plain and Simple, and we had that collection. She did actually some of her popular patterns in print for some time, and that was one of them. And my word, did we sell absolutely truckloads of that pattern book. It's now available as an ebook for $15 on Ravelry. It is worth every single penny. It really is. This is just one example of what's in the book, is that little guide there. So you saw the little garter stitch kimono before. Well, she has a number of designs. This little pop over here is just called the Four Seasons jacket. There is singlets. There is so many different options that she has. And garter stitch, that garter stitch collection, I think garter stitch is perfect. Garter stitch is such a wonderful thing to be knitting for babies because it's reversible, it's warm. Garter stitch is quite stretchy, so it will actually stretch and develop. My dog's going to bark in a minute because I can hear a courier's just pulled up outside. It's all right, Renly. So they will actually grow with you. So there are so many different options that you can do with that. So that collection, if you're looking for a collection, is just a great collection to start with. She also has the sweetest little singlet, like utterly adorable singlet. And actually I didn't print that picture out. It's called Dear Wee Baby Singlet. It is free. It's a wee singlet if you have got any 3 or 4 ply yarn at home. It is just, if you're looking for, it's that literally quintessential baby singlet. It's got a little bit of embroidery on the front. It is so divine. It is amazing. She also has this baby blanket, which I just love. It's a chevron baby blanket, which you can do in wonderful bright colors in a bassinet. And I've had people ask me about baby blanket patterns. This one, and I love this one. Back in the day, we used to have a yarn called Prism, which was an organic yarn done in rainbow shades, and it was organic DK. And Justine did a pattern called Cherub. You've got to check Cherub out. It is a little cardigan with intarsia angel wings on the back. It is just darling, absolutely beautiful. And it was made in that Prism yarn. Now, we had to discontinue the yarn because the farmer that we were buying the organic wool from no longer was certified organic, and we weren't able to get supply anymore. And it was a real pity because it was just amazing. But the colours that were in that range we adored. And so a number of those colours have actually popped up in other ranges. We've moved them to Perindale or Urban Deluxe because the colours themselves are incredible. But we've had a real desire for people to get that classic rainbow palette back again, which we've gone and done in Cozy and Snug. And Cozy and Snug is a DK and a full ply sport weight yarn, a similar handle to Perindale and Southlander. And in fact, we've actually put a after wash treatment, an after dye treatment over the top of that to actually allow it to be machine washable. So it is definitely more at the rustic end of the scale, but it's a sort of yarn that's wonderful if you're going to pop it over another layer. But it's also perfect for blankets like this, because it's something that you can pop over the bassinet, you can throw into the buggy or into a capsule when you're heading out. Blankets like that actually need to be surprisingly robust, and Cozy and Snug would be amazing in that blanket. And it is the classic full rainbow set of shades, and it really is loads of fun. And you can either do it in a full play or a DK. We've got both. And if you're wanting to do a natural yarn, a natural sort of garment, and add in some rainbow stripes or play around with it, it is the same, spun to the same counts as Southlander. So then you can use Southlander Sport or Southlander DK and interchange those with Cozy and Snug. So then you can do some colour work and play around and do some really, really fun stuff. So I do encourage you to go and check Justine's page out on Ravelry, because the patterns that are there have stood the test of time, I believe. A number of them have been there for a number of years. They and I have knitted them. They really are just incredible. You know, they really are quite wonderful. Delene's also saying with garter stitch as well, Elizabeth Zimmerman's Surprise Baby Jacket. I mean, that's a classic. It has been around for decades. Those, and actually the easy is actually, I'm glad you brought the easy jacket up, because the easy jacket, I have to admit, is one that I did a lot actually in the early days as well, just playing around when I had scraps of yarn, and even when I had beginning my homespun, I used to play around with that jacket a lot. That jacket, if you're a spinner, that jacket is actually a really good one for homespun yarns. It is. It's so funny. It is just, it's really, really, really wonderful. And one of the other things I wanted to touch on this morning in regards to that, just with, I'm getting inspiration from the inquiries, is with the inquiries, one of the questions that we're getting a lot of is around when yarns are going to be back and available. So we are Perindale and Merino Soft are in the mill at the minute. They just finished off. They were going through twisting earlier in the week, which means once they've gone to twisting, then they go to reeling. Then from reeling, they go to the dye house. From the dye house, they then go to caking into balling into finishing, and then they come out to you. So they're getting there. We've had a couple of Perindale colours sneak in, which were ones that were actually already started before the lockdown began. But the majority of yarns, both Merino Soft and Perindale, will start arriving in from week 3. Those are the two that we've put the priority on. They're the two that we're most exhausted out of, and also the one that people have been asking for us the most. So over the next, so what are we now, week 2 in May? So from next week, hopefully the first of those will start sneaking through, and it will take, in all reality, a good 6 weeks until we start getting a quorum of those colours back. So those are definitely moving and shaking. If you've started a project and you really, and you're a ball short and you can't finish it, or you need to have something to finish, you've got a couple of options. One is you can go to the Skein Speakeasy and see if someone can help you out. And when we lift to level 2, it will mean that people will be able to post things more readily. Do that. Someone might have enough left in stash or a ball that they're prepared to part with and help you out on that score. So that is option 1. The other option is actually, don't panic too much. There are ways that you can alter garments to actually, particularly if you're only short by less than a ball's worth, you can shorten sleeves. If it's a long sleeved item, it doesn't need to be long sleeved to make it crop sleeved. If it's something that, you know, play around with the length. Add a block of colour at the end of the sleeves or the block of the body in a different colour or a contrasting colour, and make it look like it was meant to be that way. So then that way you can complete the garment. Just pop a wee bit of thought about it. You'll be amazed at what you can achieve, and don't get too hung up on the fact that it has to look exactly like it looks like in the pattern, because I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The recipient of that cardigan, the wee little mite that's going to wear it, they're not going to give a rat's ass. Honestly, they won't care. They will not care that you didn't have enough clover DK to be able to finish that off. I know, mind blowing, but it's true. They're not going to care. I know you might care, but that's the thing. These are extraordinary times, and sometimes you need to think outside of the square. So to that end, machine washable merino 4-ply. As you've seen, we've got 3 colours left in Merino Soft, and all of them are actually monochromatic shades. Now, it's really interesting. Everyone's wanting the solid shades, but I can tell you right now, and this is a monochrome, that in that monochromatic, or that in those monochromatic shades, would look incredible. So don't be afraid to use those shades in a baby garment, because especially if you're working in garter stitch, monochromes in garter stitch are a match made in heaven, because it actually mixes those colors up and they look incredible in garter stitch. So we've got Cucumber Crush, Lavender Crush, and I can't remember what the third one is there. Cloud, I think, which is a grey, silver grey. Utterly amazing. Don't be afraid of using those, but even if it's for a newborn or a baby singlet, particularly in garter stitch, it looks incredible. The other yarn that we have, though, that you may not necessarily think of, but is machine washable merino and is perfect for baby garments, is Skeins Sock. Now, yes, the colours in that are deeper and richer. They've been designed primarily for socks, so then that way, if you're going to be, if you want a dark greyish sock or a navy blue sock, you have those there. But we do have the Skeins Sock in natural, which is it's basically an ivory, because it's natural, it's undyed. So whilst we do not have any bleach white in 4-ply at the moment, we do have this. And this is a really good alternative. So if you're wanting to do a christening shawl, or you've got something like that that has to be done and you just simply can't wait, this is a really good option. This is now back in stock. This is option 1. The other thing is, as I said, they come in deeper and brighter colours. Again, the wee babe, they're not going to know. And I mean, look at Hohi Locatelli. I mean, that's a dark grey. There is no hard and fast rules that says that babies need to be in white or pastel colours. None, absolutely, whatsoever. In fact, I resisted that wherever I could. And case in point, that was for a wee one, and she was, I think, 9 months old. And as you can see, that's a newborn baby vest there. I did not, for me, I worked really hard not to put babes in natural colours, or in pastel colours. I really loved bright colours. In fact, one of my favourite baby garments that I ever knitted was I did in bright orange and navy blue with a star on the front and stripes, and it looked sensational, absolutely sensational. Babies look absolutely sharp and bright. And if you don't believe me, you just need to Google baby clothing and look at the images, or baby merino clothing, and actually see the colours that are out there. There are a lot more deeper colour, bright colours out there now for babies. And so actually placing your babies in bright knits is totally okay. And I mean, look at these two. So those are the two that I've just held up. That's Skeins Sock. Can't you imagine a little jumper, something like this, or even this little boxy done in stripes, and it would have that whole Cape Breton sort of nautical look, which would look incredible on a little boy or a little girl. So you shake yourself off those paradigms and actually have it, I'm giving you permission to play around with colour. There's still plenty of options out there if you're prepared to take a risk with colour, and I think you'll find that you will be rewarded for that risk. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself. Right, I've had a number of people, they're asking about this. I mentioned it earlier in the video, I'll mention it again, and I need to put it in the comments. It's called Climb Every Mountain, Heidi Kittermeyer. So it is, and I love it. I knit this. It's knit. All the shape, the increasing, as you can see, are done in these radial lines. It's top down, Super easy thing to knit. I knit it during the duration of the Rugby World Cup a couple of years ago, so that's what this is. It's done in vintage carmine. This behind me is The Doodler by Stephen West, which was a mystery knit along a number of years ago. So that is what that is. This is the Ever After Cowl, which is done in a Noro, which I have. How many crop slaves do you have? Funny, Delane. I have many crop slaves. I've lost my train of thought. No, I haven't. It's back. So tomorrow's Saturday, pajama party day with Ethan. Can't wait. Very excited for that. We're going to be talking about we've both got our capsule books from Brooklyn Tweed. We're going to go through some of those and talk about some pattern options in there and things that we might want to knit with those. So I think that they are that'll be hugely fun. I absolutely love that. Oh, here we go. Sylvia's saying, looked at Hohi's kimono pattern. It says it was the very first pattern she wrote in 2008. There you go. See, sometimes I think it's really good not always to be looking for the great new thing. Sometimes it's actually quite nice to reminisce and look back. Anyway, pajama party day tomorrow with Ethan. So I'm really looking forward to that. That will be loads of fun. And I just want to remind everybody, I'll be here, obviously, to pajama party tomorrow. Sunday is Mother's Day. I've decided to take Mother's Day off. Well, in fact, I've been told by my husband and my children that I'm taking Mother's Day off. So I won't be here for Quarantine Diaries on Mother's Day, Sunday, but I will be back on Monday. So don't panic. And I am working on a guest for Monday. So hopefully I just need to confirm that today. And what else? There was something else. I know there was something else. That's right. It'll come to me. I'll think about it tomorrow. But until then, have a great rest of Friday. We think we might actually now finally dip into the takeaway pools tonight. We've sort of pretty much resisted it so far until now, but we are thinking that tonight could be the night that we get delivery in. So very exciting around here for my boys, I tell you. But until then, have a great time. I'll be here tomorrow. Ethan will be here tomorrow. It'll be great to see you. So until then, take care. Bye.